Good morning, Gary, my darling. What's cooking? Oh, not much. I'm injured. It's horrible. It's like, what can I cook today? Not a lot. I had to buy myself an electric can opener, which sometimes works great, and then sometimes it really doesn't work at all. So I'm debating whether to send it back or not. But anyway, mutter, mutter, moan, moan, complain, complain. This is not how we're starting this morning. We're going to have fun today. So good morning, everyone. Excuse me. Before we begin, first of all, um, I'd like to say sorry. First of all, I'd like to say good morning to Grey Eagle, who is, as always, standing to my right side, and good morning to our lovely facilitator, Chris. Right, Chris? Good morning.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone.
And good morning to everyone out there. Now, I know Gary's very, very eager, so don't happen to have a question, do you, darling? Just for everybody who's just coming in now, do we have anybody in there yet, or is it just Gary so far, Chris?
Oh no. People have definitely logged in on all your streaming mechanisms,
Oh,
your
oh, oh,
different Facebooks and your YouTube, etc.
okay. So aside from good morning, good looking, what's cooking, Gary, have any other questions for me? Because I think you were first in pretty much. I think. Or anyway, I'm assuming that you're eager and that you're eager to talk to me. And where are you? Anyway, Florida is unbelievable. The temperature this morning is in the mid 60s, I think, at the moment, and the breezes. And I'm looking outside my window. There's a big, high, tall American flag, and it's blowing crazily in the breeze. It's a beautiful day here. Sorry for those of you who are wearing heavy socks and winter clothes, and well, if you're sitting by a roaring fire, preferably either with a hot chocolate or a brandy, or actually both, would be, and maybe even a box of chocolates or something like that. That sounds like it might be great, but it is really a spectacular day here. We're loving every minute of it. So, what have I been up to? Well, the boring stuff. I'm not going to go into it. My hand is, at least I'm moving it. It hurts really badly. I can't bend my fingers properly still. It hurts, everybody. It hurts. Thank you all for your healing. We are managing. We are being very positive today. The theme of today, if there is a theme as such, is going to be absolute 1000% positivity. And in a world which seems to be, chaotic and so many awful things happening, and so many, we can talk about all the terrible things that are going on in the world, but we are not going to do that. We're going to look at the positives, and the positives are, let me think, one of the positives was the my daughter sent me a video of my grandson Reese, who playing the piano, and he's gearing up for he's got an audition to a music school. He is considered, we were told 2 weeks ago, is considered a prodigy. Oh, I said that word. I so often cannot say my D's and G's. I usually get them backwards. But we were told 2 weeks ago he's considered a prodigy because the music that he's playing is what is he playing at the moment? I think he's playing Mozart at the moment, and that's the piece he's going to be using for his audition. We don't know if he'll get in or not. The places are very few and far between, so the chances are very, very low. But you never know, and you've got to try. This is where positivity comes into things. So that's one good thing that happened. What other good thing happened this week? I made a meatloaf. I do a gourmet meatloaf. Mary Lou, who is here with us today, actually. Good morning, Mary Lou. Sorry, I forgot to introduce you, say good morning to you. But anyway, She does not like my meatloaf. She doesn't like it one little bit, right? You sort of, it's okay.
I'll just say I like my own.
She likes her own much better, which is brilliant. But I call it a gourmet meatloaf because it has a little cream. It has, I use shallots, or as some Americans would say, shallots. Shallots is what we say in England. I use shallots in there, and I use different things in there. If anybody wants the recipe, by all means, let me know and I'll send it to you. I love it. My daughter loves it, but as we know, not everybody likes everything that I cook. But I actually made this meatloaf with my left hand, digging into the meat and getting the bread, and I use fresh breadcrumbs, getting all of those in there, and so on and so forth. And it's like, this hand is not used to doing this amount of work, so this hand's getting a little sore from time to time, having to do all the work that this hand usually does. But at least, hey, I made a meatloaf, and that, Mary Lou, isn't that an amazing feat? Right?
Definitely.
Because it sort of, from April to now, it's been almost impossible. And the electric can opener, yeah, well, it is good. It doesn't always work properly, but I can't open a can. I can't open a can otherwise, can I? What kind of cans do I open? Let me think. Tuna. You'd think they'd all have those pull things now, wouldn't you? But I can't even use those either, because I've got no strength anymore. So we might suppose from what I'm saying that my cooking days are over. Never. So I'm going to just keep plodding along. And Gary, if you come, when are you coming? There's a nice new bed for you. When are you coming? Anyway, if you come, I promise to make you moussaka. I'll tell you all a story about my friend Gary, who came with me a few years ago to Greece. We went to mainland Greece, and then we went to a couple of islands. And the food in Greece is spectacular. No two ways around it. And there are some amazing restaurants where we went to. And so we would go out to eat at least once a day. And every time we went out, Gary would have moussaka, and he loved it. And I'm talking about you as if you're not listening to me, Gary, but he's very skinny, very slender guy. And the last day we were there, we sort of got the day off and we went shopping. I was there working, by the way. And we went shopping, and and of course we had lunch and so on and so forth. And we were sitting in this tiny restaurant with big solid wooden tables. And we're having our lunch, and all of a sudden we hear this clang, and Gary looks down, and then he looks up at me, and I see that his belt buckle has literally broken open. His belt buckle's broken. The clang is the buckle of the belt hitting the table, and we had to go out and buy him a new belt. So this is why I'm saying, if you come, Gary, I'll make you a moussaka. I'll even show you how to make it, because you'll have to do all of the prep work. Because look, this is my perfect excuse now. Look, see, I can't do it myself. I need help. Anyway, Chris, who's there?
Oh, a lot of people are here.
Any questions? Any comments? What do we got going today?
Well, Gary did respond to you. He says he loves your meatloaf. Jeff is also on talking about meatloaf with ketchup. But Gary did have a question. You asked, did he have a question?
I do actually use ketchup in my meatloaf also, but I use other stuff as well. Anyway, go ahead. Gary, actually have a question for me, sweetie? Go for it.
He does. Beside that, Mark said he likes a little bourbon in his meatloaf.
Ooh,
Um,
now there's a thing. Never thought of that. Maybe I'll have it on the side while I'm eating it. Not is it, but is bourbon? What is bourbon? Bourbon's whiskey. What is bourbon? Is it like a whiskey? I think it's
I
whiskey, right?
think so.
Yeah. Mark, you have to let us know. I'm not sure we have bourbon in England. I think we just call it whiskey. We call it whiskey, really, really great whiskey, really great Scottish whiskey or Irish whiskey, really, really good stuff. Then we have the cheap whiskey. I'm not sure. I think bourbon might be a mix of different whiskies. Yes, I think yes. I've saved myself. Bourbon is blended whiskey. I think Mark, tell me if I'm right or wrong, will you? Let's have Gary's question, shall we?
All right. So Gary says, I've been sending you healing twice a day, by the way.
Thank you. I know that.
And he says, with what you're going through, can you explain how to give healing to yourself?
Um, well, it's a good question. Uh, Unfortunately, I don't think we have quite the time for a long answer, but actually, that makes me think maybe we should have do something about helping people and showing people how to give healing to themselves. Although I think we might have already done it, but we can certainly do it again. Basically, when you're giving healing, and for everybody listening, Gary is a student of mine and a healer. So when you're giving healing, when you first of all you center yourself, you are very still. You connect with that higher power, whatever you want to call it, God, God force, universal God force, whatever. You connect with that. You raise your level of consciousness to a point where you're able to connect in with that higher power. And then at that point, you start to begin the healing process, sending healing to others. But even as you're sending healing to others, first of all, that energy is flowing through you, right? It's coming through you, it's flowing through you, and it's giving healing to you. You are healing yourself, even as you then send out that energy and send out that healing energy to others. If you just simply want to focus on yourself and not send out healing to others, you can literally do that same thing, but rather than sending out healing to others, you focus on the parts of you, you focus on the whole of you, you focus on every little, let's say, every little inch of you, but you also mostly you focus on giving healing to the soul, making the spirit brighter. You want your spirit to become well and healthy. So you focus on giving healing to your spiritual self. But instead of sending out that energy to others and giving it out to others and visualizing, if you're using visualization techniques, which is what I teach my students to do, if you're using visualization techniques, you actually, you would focus on that person you're sending healing to, and you would visualize whatever different colors, different types of energy, and you would visualize that person being wrapped in that kind of energy. But if you're giving healing to yourself, you do the same thing with yourself. You visualize what it is that you need. You visualize the energy that you hope to gain, hope to get, peace. So you're visualizing greens and golds, because we want for ourselves, we want spiritual energy, which is the golds and the silvers, and also peace, which is green, different shades of muted soft greens, and of course blue is the healing color. So you would focus on that, and you would literally sort of visualize wrapping those colors around yourself and absorbing those colors into yourself as you're giving yourself healing. So it's pretty much the same process, except that you focus on you. But even as you're sending healing to others, you're absorbing that energy. So you're, even though you're sending it out to others, you make sure that you're giving it to yourself as well. It's not a question of exhausting your energy and giving all of your energy out to everybody else, you have to retain that energy, because first and foremost, a healer has to know and has to give healing to themselves. Otherwise, this is when healers become drained, they become sick, they become, sort of worn out and tired. If they're expending and expelling all of their energy for everybody else, and there's nothing left for them, then they're going to be eventually useless vessels. So as a healer, I tell my students always, be selfish with yourself. You have to give healing to you first. And once you are centered, replenished, you're full of that good energy, and you've received healing, then you can share that with everybody else. Hope that answers the question. Chris, let's go for somebody else.
Sure. The next person is Crystal.
Hi, Crystal.
Crystal says, I have a 19-year-old named Casey with severe nonverbal autism. She lost both parents and a husband in 2014 and two of her best friends since.
Okay.
Orbs always are around Casey, and Casey seems to see things that Crystal does not. Can
Oh,
she see spirits?
absolutely. Yes. You know, um, we talk about earth angels, and I write in uh, one of my books, I can't remember now which one, but I write in one of my books about the first time that I met an earth angel, um, and began a fabulous connection with Tomas, his name is. Uh, his mother called because he was completely disabled, according to the doctors, according to the medical profession. He couldn't hear, couldn't see, couldn't do it, didn't know anything, didn't. But that was not the case, because even though he couldn't verbalize, and even though he couldn't seem to see, boy, did he ever see. Because as these wonderful people are walk in our midst, um, I should say, when I say walk in our midst, Tomas could not walk. He was in a wheelchair. So not to take me too literally here, but these wonderful people are our earth angels. They are those people who come to this earth to give to us, the opportunity of being with them. And Crystal, this beautiful, beautiful child that you have has come to this earth to give to you. And I know, without you telling me that's true, I know that you have gained so much. And I know how hard it is for you and how difficult it is for you. But what you gain from this child, your own personal earth angel, I mean, wow, that is something. So just because whichever, whoever I'm talking to here, because there are others of you out there who have children like this, just because they seem not to know, they seem not to be able to communicate, they seem not to understand what you're saying, they seem not to see, and they seem not to hear, they hear and they see and they know. Their soul is alive, their spirit is bright and shining, and they come to this earth to give to us purely and selflessly. They give to us, and I can guarantee you that those of you who have children like this, everyone they meet, they touch the hearts of everyone they meet. They give something to everyone they meet, and that's really, really something special. So, Crystal, um, yes, your child sees everything. Okay, Chris.
Serenella is saying good morning from Italy.
Morning.
Annika is saying her mother just turned 90. She was there in the Netherlands 2 weeks ago. And mother is showing signs of dementia. I believe she is close at heaven's gate, as she sees my father frequently and talks with him.
Oh, how
And her
nice.
father passed 14 years ago.
How lovely. How lovely is that? Yes, I totally would agree with you. I think, definitely she's on her way. that might take a little while, but isn't it wonderful that, they have that understanding and knowledge? We what do we call it? We call it dementia. Well, we assume that they don't see or know or understand anything. And that's when we forget that we are first and foremost spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings, and our soul, our spirit, the light of our soul, the energy of our soul, we see beyond what is on this earth. So even though they seem to be closed off to us, um, they are not closed off. They are opening up and widening their lives. I've had a lot of interaction with people who have dementia of one kind or another, and it always makes me smile, because whenever I meet with them and I hold their hands and I talk to them in my way, um, not necessarily verbally, and I see that spark come into their eyes when they recognize that I don't know, I am of the light. Let's say that they recognize the light and they recognize the understanding, and I see the sparks of bright recognition in their eyes every single time it's happened to me. Chris.
All right. Barb is asking, is anything going on with your book?
Not right now. Oh, Bob, that's so nice of you to ask, but not right now. It's without going into this, so boring, isn't it? When when you're sick and you're having to take pills and all that stuff, it's really it's a little irritating and boring. But I was just saying to Mary Lou and Chris before the show, I slept all day yesterday. I could not stay awake. I've come off of the majority of my pills, but then you go for therapy, or you have to go for different things going on, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting only having one hand, and I know there are people out there who have no hands at all. I don't know how they manage, but boy, my admiration for them is amazing. But anyway, uh, so enough of that. So I'm afraid everything pretty much has been on hold until fairly recently. But I do appreciate, Bob. Thank you for asking. Chris.
We have two people asking questions similarly having to do with their own career and work. So Phil is the first one saying, Rosemary, I just retired from my job. What do you see for my future?
Okay. Well, it depends, doesn't it? So I could ask you, what kind of an attitude do you have? Do you have a positive attitude? Do you have a negative attitude? Do you want to do something? Or do you want to, if you've just retired, do you want to sit and watch TV? Because you can do that, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you want to become a couch potato, go ahead and become a couch potato. I feel, because you've asked this question, that there's more that you want to do. It depends. Are you going to sit at home and wait for stuff to come to you, or are you going to actually get out there? I think you're the kind of person who would get out there and explore. So if you have an attitude of going out to explore, I'm listening to Grey Eagle now, who says this can be, if you want it, Phil, this can be the beginning of the rest of your life. So go for it. Whatever it is you want to do, go for it. Chris.
Shamanth is saying, can you ask Grey Eagle to give me some precise advice regarding my career? I am confused as to what step to take regarding my career and work.
Then the precise advice, you're not going to like it, Shamanth, because it's not, because let's be clear, it is not my job, it is not Gregor's job, it's not anybody's job to tell you what to do. We can guide you, we can steer you, we can help you to make those decisions, but the decisions at the end of the day have to be yours, and they should be yours. So many people rely on someone like myself to tell them what to do and how to do it, and that's not our role. Our role is to guide you. So Grey Eagle's precise advice to you is listen to what is going on in your heart. If you listen carefully and you trust, this is your biggest problem, I think. Yeah, this is your biggest problem. You don't trust yourself. You dither and you dally and you wonder this, and if I do that, and what happens if I make this mistake, and so on. And if you make a mistake and you fail, you get up and you get on with it. So Grey Eagle is saying his precise advice to you is follow your heart, but trust your heart. Follow where your heart leads you and trust it. Stop second guessing yourself, which is what you're doing. Um, he's also saying, apparently, I don't know, I'm hoping you know what he means by this. I don't know what he means by this, but apparently you have a lot of talent and you're barely using any of it. You're allowing other people to dictate, and you're allowing your environment to dictate who you are and what you do. He says to you, this is his message, precise and clear message from him to you: fly, butterfly, fly. Chris.
Mark had answered your question about the bourbon. He said, yes, it is one of the brown liqueurs, and you are accurate.
Oh, good. So it's a blend of stuff. So I would never drink that. I'm a pure gal. I like pure brandy. I like cognacs. I don't know. So I don't think bourbon's for me. But it is an idea, putting something like that in because when we make Christmas pudding, we do that. But that's a sweet thing. So I'll have to think about that. Maybe I'll try it out, Mark. All right, Chris.
Melissa's saying hello. She says she always tries to meditate, but is not successful. So her question is, do I have to align my chakras through meditation to elevate my consciousness, or
No.
does my consciousness elevate while meditating and then my chakras align?
Forget the chakras. Stop worrying about it. Forget having to do things precisely. Meditation it's not about being precise. Meditation is about allowing yourself to raise your level of consciousness, to lift above the ordinary and everyday, to lift to a place and a space where you are connected and feel at one with the universe. And then meditation is about achieving that and then staying in that place. So many people think they're meditating, right? But in fact, in my experience, a very high percentage of people who meditate aren't meditating at all. They're contemplating. Because when you actually meditate and you achieve that state of consciousness, forget the chakras, forget that, all of that stuff. What aligns, aligns. What connects, connects. All you need to do is to focus on raising your level of consciousness to a point where you feel at one with your own soul, with your own spirit, with your own light, and you feel connected to whatever that God force is that is out there for you. That's the goal of meditation, staying there and being at one with that. When people, I have people say to me, well, I meditate for an hour. Well, I meditate for 2 hours. Fine. Whatever you want, whatever you feel like. But when the other things start to creep in, which they do, what shall I have for dinner? Or, God, it's nearly time to pick the kids up from school, that sort of thing. That is called contemplating. It feels like meditation, perhaps, but it is not. It is contemplation. And we get ourselves in a state of contemplation. So if you do I align my chakras now? Do I do it later? What happens here? What does there? Forget it, because you're already not in the mind to focus on meditating. You can't do it. It's all of that's going on in there. You don't need to worry about aligning your chakras. Once you achieve a state of higher self, higher meditation, everything will align. Everything that should align will align. It's not your job to focus on aligning them. It's your job to raise yourself up there. Focus on taking breaths. Focus on raising your level of consciousness to a point where you just feel connected. Just you connect to that higher force. And the simpler and the easier you make it, the better you will be able to do it. Okay?
She clarified a little bit, Rosemary. She said, can someone be born without the ability to meditate, or can there be blockages?
Oh, there are always blockages. I've just described some of them. People try too hard. It's, this is why so many experiences that we have happen in our sleep state, when we're sort of half awake, half asleep, in that state where we're not even thinking. Our head can do us in. Our brain works overtime. It's like being on a sort of a hurly-burly thing, and that is a block. It's a massive block. The simpler you do it, the easier you do it, without thought for being in the right spot, the right place, or whatever it is. Just put yourself in a quiet place. Turn your cell phone off. Don't be anywhere near anything that you can be distracted by. 10 minutes is all you need. And if you do that on a daily basis and just simplify everything, you will find eventually you're able to do it. But simplify, because the block that we have is trying too hard. You read all these books that say, oh, your chakras have got to be aligned, and you've got this, well, chakra does this and that chakra does that and all the rest of it. You're focusing far too much on what you need to do rather than just getting on and doing it and allowing your own soul to bring you to that spot where you have raised your level of consciousness and everything that should be aligned is aligned without you even having to work at it. Okay, Chris.
Rose is asking, do people in the spirit world need to learn how to communicate with, I think she says, everyone on the planet?
No, they don't. I don't think, wait a minute, just before, forget I said no. No, I'm right. No, they don't. They don't. Because we just talked about making things simpler for as far as meditation is concerned, and the same applies when we're trying to connect with our loved ones in the spirit world, or when they're trying to connect with us. When in the spirit world, it's a simple matter because they already know how to do it. There are no complications that get in the way of us trying to connect with our loved ones. The complication comes when they're standing in front of us and they're trying desperately to show us that they're there, but we don't see, we don't hear, we don't whatever, we're so busy. Sometimes we're so busy trying to do it that we put a block. Sometimes we're so much in grief we put a block. Sometimes there are so many emotional things going on, or sometimes I see this all the time. My daughter's one of those who she's a culprit. You see people walking around with earphones in their ears. How are you supposed to hear anything, sense anything, see anything, feel anything that is beyond this world when you've got earphones stuck in your ears and you can't hear a thing? You can't sense anything because, but it's the norm. And the amount of, people, you go into a restaurant, two people go into a restaurant, one's on their cell phone and somebody else is on the cell phone, and they're all on their cell phone. They're not even communicating with each other. So imagine how difficult it is if we can't communicate with each other when we're sitting at a table. How on earth are we going to be able to communicate with those who are perhaps a little bit further away, but oh so close to us that we could reach out and touch them easily? If only we listened. Chris.
Marina says, my friend Kayla has been suffering from ankle pain for more than 3 years. In spite of consulting multiple doctors and taking all kinds of treatment, little progress has happened. Can you please ask Gray Eagle what could be the reason for this mystery illness or a solution for it?
Well, the first thing we'll do is, if you'd like to, you need to put her name down on our healing list. Maybe Chris can do that for you, and we'll send her healing. I okay. I didn't expect this, because I do not usually diagnose in this way. We need to be more careful. But I don't think it is the ankle that is the. Am I right about that? I don't think it's the ankle that is the issue. I think it's that they need to pay attention to the whole leg, and maybe even the spine. Something's out of alignment, which is causing the problem. So maybe I'm thinking maybe a masseuse, or maybe what do they call them? These people who sort of they can align your bodies for you on a physical level,
Chiropractor?
like it, something like that. So maybe she might like to try that, but I don't think it's the. I think the ankle. The ankle pain is a result of some sort of misalignment. So I think she needs to go to see someone who can actually, help her to align her body in a good way. Chris.
Leslie says, hi, Rosemary. It's so nice to have you back.
It's so nice, Leslie, to be back. Thank you.
Did my recently passed uncle send us a Mickey Mouse sign?
Actually, weren't there two signs? Gregor is saying, and the answer is yes, but weren't there two signs? So I'm leaving that with you. But yes, absolutely. How fun, Chris.
Phil answered your question earlier about the retirement, saying, thank you, Rosemary. You confirmed what I was already feeling about my post retirement. I feel the greatest parts of my life are yet to come.
Oh, without Phil, I feel it without a doubt. I mean, I did talk about, well, are you the kind of person who wants to be a couch potato? But knowing that you even asked the question, I know that you're raring to go, and you want to do, something that is just for you. Do something that is just for you, that you get satisfaction from. I think you'll be great. I really do. I think you'll be great. And I really, as Grey Eagle said to you, I feel that this is, the start of the rest of your life. So you just have to reach out for it, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to reach for things that seem to be unattainable. But if you reach for them, they're not unattainable at all. Chris.
This is from T.C. Ayla Suna.
Okay.
Dear Rosemary, I
Yes.
am writing to you from Turkey.
Okay.
I read your book years ago. We need your support on a very important issue.
Okay.
We lost our brother's wife and son last week. The murderer is unknown. Our brother is alive and doesn't remember anything. The police are investigating the culprit, but meanwhile, they imprisoned our brother. Our request for you is that you can contact our deceased aunt and nephew. We can learn the truth from them. Please help us, or our brother could be in prison for life. We await your reply with excitement and gratitude. Thank you very much.
Right. Well, we're not going to do that today, but I'm going to suggest that you email my office. You can email Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, or you can put it for the attention of Chris, because you remember this, right, Chris?
Yes.
And we can talk about what is doable. And because I'm saying that doesn't mean that I'll be able to help, but I can, we can certainly see what we can do. So no promises, but email, remind us who you are, and we can get in touch at another time. Okay, Chris.
This is from Eric.
Okay. Hi, Eric. How did you know that I loved hyacinths is what I want to know. In England, every spring, so many houses have hyacinths, and we used to get them in those pots where they have different holes going, here and there, and the hyacinths would pop out of you'd have maybe like 3 or 5 hyacinths that would pop out, and they're beautiful. And the perfume of hyacinths is lovely, but don't I don't want you spending your money. So thank you for the offer, and you're a sweetheart. But anyway, give me your question.
All right. Sorry, I'm scrolling back. It had to do with animals. Do animals see our energy? Is that why they quote like some people and shy away from others?
That's exactly you. Why are you asking me the question you know the answer to? You know the answer to that, Eric, but yes. And I think it's a great question, because there are so many people who don't understand about their animals. They don't understand, why. I mean, if you have a pet, somebody walks into the house and the pet either receives them joyfully or is indifferent, or occasionally does that. When they growl, something a little bit not quite right about that person. It's not that the person may be a bad person, just that person's energy is not compatible with the dog. So the best thing you do at that point is to make sure you put the dog away somewhere. Chris.
Shamantha is thanking you, Rosemary and Gray Eagle, for such beautiful advice. It really resonates with me and what's going on with my life. So thank you.
Just remember what he said to you. I don't think I've ever heard him say that to anybody, Shaman. So you must need this, especially right now. Fly, butterfly, fly. Nice. Chris.
Sova Nettie says, sending love to you, Rosemary, from the Northeast Lincolnshire.
Oh, yes. Okay, then go on. Where
Can you
exactly in Northeast Lincolnshire are you? I want to know. But let's have your question. Then you can let me know where you're from. Where exactly are you from? Yes, Chris.
Can you please ask Gray Eagle if he has any messages for me? Thanks.
No, not right now. But I want to know where in Northeast Lincolnshire you are. I'm trying to think. Let me know. Okay, Chris.
Mark says, I dreamed of the spirit that resides in my late grandparents' home. She saw me as I saw her walking across the attic floor.
Oh,
Why did I dream of this?
I don't do dreams. I'm not a good one for dreaming. But I think you're capable of finding the answer out for yourself. So I'm just throw it right back at you. Why did she? Why did you? Maybe there is a connection between you that you need to explore, maybe. That's all I'm saying. Chris.
Carol is saying, my husband was killer 32 years ago. Maybe she means, maybe it's just a typo. Maybe was killed 32 years ago. My daughter and I never knew the truth. Why? I saw him in 3 dreams, but he never said a word.
Well, I don't think that he didn't say anything. I think it's very often the case that even though they're trying to talk to us, we are the ones who, because we're not able to connect, or we don't know how to connect, we don't necessarily hear or understand what it is that they're trying to say to us. So it might seem as if he didn't say anything to you, but he's obviously come to you to let you know that he loves you. He's obviously come to you to let you know that he's with you, that he's there with you, and also with your daughter. So I think it's wonderful that you've seen him in your dreams, and you know, 30 years is it's a long time. It's quite amazing to me that, you know, when something like this happens to us, we want to know what happened. We want to know the whys and wherefores of it. We want to know who to point the finger at. We want to know who's to blame, who's responsible for what happened. And it's a natural human thing. That's what we want. That's what we need. But those in the spirit world are of a very, very often of a very different attitude. It's happened. It was meant to happen. You have to remember, so hard to say this to people, especially when you have loved ones who have died in tragic circumstances. But if we can just remember, we cannot go before our time. So, however it is that we pass, however it is that we die, well, you know, we don't die, but you know what I mean. However it is because it is not it is not about the fact that someone was murdered. It's not about the fact that someone was killed in a car accident. It's not about the fact of how we have died. It is about the fact that our name is called. God calls our name. And when God calls our name, in whatever way it is that we pass, it's because it's our time. So those in the spirit world do not hold the same thoughts and feelings that we do. It's not as important for them to know the hows and whys of it and who was responsible and so on. It's much more about their home, and they were called home because it was their time. And I think that very often when people come to me for consultations, so very often when they come to me for consultations, it's that is so often what comes through. I'm here and I'm home, and it is my right time, and this is where I belong, is what so many people in the spirit world want to relay to us. Chris.
Jeff is asking, can you give us a simple tool to begin learning to meditate?
Gosh, there's so many. I'm going to suggest, I like candle meditation because candle meditation literally does give you something to focus on. And it's the simplest, you know, and this is what I'm saying to people. Keep it simple. The simpler it is, the easier it is. And so what I do with my students, my first year students, is I teach them about candle meditation. So you just put a candle in front of you. Please make sure that it's in a safe place. You're not going to knock it over and burn the house down or anything like that. But that flickering flame, that flickering candle that goes on, and I think you can even buy battery candles that would work just as well, as long as they have that flicker with them. And so what you're doing is you're sort of focusing on the flickering flame, and as it's flickering, you're going to stare at that flame, and then after a few minutes you close your eyes and you have you know how when you look at a light bulb for too long, you get that there, you know, you get the flame in your mind's eye, you get the candle flame in your mind's eye. And then when it disappears, you focus again on the candle flame, close your eyes, and there it is. And when it disappears, on and on. At some point, as you learn to do this, you will not need the candle flame. You will just be able to close your eyes and place that candle flame right there. Now, when you can use a flower, you can use all sorts, but the candle flame is easier because it's flickering all the time. So I think that helps us to focus a little bit more. So when you get to the point where you don't need the candle anymore, you can just close your eyes and you've got the candle flame there. And that you notice I'm pointing here where that, you know, where that little, whether you call it the third eye or the central chakra right there in your forehead, you need to sort of get it there. Now, as long as you hold the candle in your mind's eye, let's say, um, nothing else can come in. No other thoughts can come in because your mind is filled with that flame. And as it's filled with that flame and you keep that flame in your mind's eye, then you're able to raise your level of consciousness, still keeping that in your mind's eye. While ever you've got one thing in your mind, nothing else can interrupt it. So it makes it much easier for you to raise your level of consciousness and to begin to connect with the spirit world. It is the simplest and the easiest way. And a lot of people, we heard someone talk about and aligning the chakras, and we've got to do this and we have to do that. And no. Meditation is simple. It's a really simple thing, but we complicate it because we think we should do all those things that that all of those fabulous books tell us we should do. So my view is keep it simple, sweetie. Kiss. Keep it simple, sweetie, and learn to do it that way. And eventually, as you get used to doing this, and as you keep that candle flame in your mind's eye, at some point you will become unaware of the candle flame because you will be at one with the universe and that universal God force that is there. So you won't even know that there is anything there, but your mind has transcended to that level where you are connecting with that universal God force. Keep it simple. That's what you're going to do. Keep it simple. I know that lots of people think that my teachings are far too simple and far too easy, but if you want to go more complicated, go for it, because you'll only tie yourself in knots over it. Keep it simple. Chris.
Paula wants to know, is my mom by my side?
I'm hearing from Grey Eagle one word, always. So I hope that helps you. Because when he says it, it's different than when I say it. Because Grey Eagle knows these things, always, is what I'm being told to tell you. Keep going, Chris.
This is from Caliphonic. Good morning, Rosemary. Could you please ask Grey Eagle any advice from my sister Michelle about what she has in her lungs? Is it something that she's allergic to? Will she get better in her breathing? Thank you.
Again, we'd like to put it on the healing list. I'm hoping that she has people who are teaching her how to breathe. That sounds weird, but when you have issues, excuse me, when you have issues with your lungs, it's often because if we sit a lot or if we're not particularly active, it becomes, our breathing becomes naturally much more shallow, and that can create problems of its own. So learning to breathe and doing the deep breathing exercises, you can do them in the morning and at night, just twice a day. And she needs someone to help her to show her how to expand her lungs. But very often it's we create these issues because of our inactivity. I'm not suggesting by any means that she goes for a run every day, but she does need someone to help her to do those sort of perhaps those deep breathing exercises so that she can expand her lungs. That will enable her to get more air into her lungs. It will enable to get more oxygen into her lungs, and it's definitely worth trying. And I think if she does that and she works at that, the problem is that when you have this inability to breathe because you sort of, for whatever reason, your lungs aren't working sufficiently, when you have this problem, it's like anything else. It's like me with my fingers, and it really hurts. Every knuckle, every bone, it hurts when you sort of, look at me. This is good. This actually, I can almost make a fist. But it hurts. And So she'll find it's not going to be easy. It's painful, but don't give up. Don't give up because, pain often creates gain. So try that and see how that works. But we'd love to send her some healing as well. Hold on one second.
No,
Mary Lou.
I have a question.
What?
When you were talking about the meditation and the candle, is there a time limit?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Mary Lou is saying we're coming back to, thank you. Mary Lou is coming back to the candle meditation. No more than 15 minutes at a time. There is a time limit. And I usually advise people to keep a little, one of those kitchen alarms or timers, that go off. So no longer than 15 minutes at a time, because the last thing you want to do is just get carried away and drift off into wherever it might be that you drift off into. So you've got to be disciplined in keeping that time. Don't think it's not long enough. And as you get more used to it, and as you get to do it more, you can extend the time to a half an hour, but no more than an hour max. No matter how good you get at it, no more than an hour max. There are many other things you can be doing instead. Right. Chris.
Speaking of time, we're getting very close to time. Sova Nettie responded to you saying she lives in Grimsby.
Oh, yeah.
And can we please have you back home so that I can take you for afternoon tea at Brigg Garden Center?
Oh, I love Brigg Garden Centre. Is it still going? Is it as good as it used to be? It's best at Christmas time. I love the garden centre at Christmas time because they do a fabulous, fabulous thing. I'd love to come back to England. I might well have been going to England this year, except for my hand. Hoping to do it next year. Trust me, I will let you all know. I want to come home. I want to see my friends. I do miss England very much so. And I'd love to come and have tea with you at Brigg Garden Centre, my darling. That's so nice of you. Thank you very much. It's cold in Grimsby right now, right? And it's beautiful here in Florida. What can I say? Oh, I'm so mean. Anyway, thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, I think we are done for today. And we have to cut it short because I have things to do, therapies and stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff. Anyway, so I just want to say thank you to all of you for joining me. It really makes me feel great doing something like this. It really makes me feel, you see, when you're doing and you're doing and you're doing, it makes you feel good, makes you feel great. So thank you all for joining me. I'd like to say thank you to Chris for her great facilitating. Of course, without a doubt, I'd like to say thank you to Gregor, as always. He's been great. He's been very talkative today, don't you think? And he's laughing as I'm saying that to you. And I'd like to once again thank all of you for, sort of your support, your healing, and your lovely presence here in my life. I love it. I love it. I love it. We will be talking more about doing some healing. And maybe we'll be doing an off the cuff. Unfortunately, off the cuff means that you'll get very short notice because it's off the cuff. But we'll be doing some of that as well. I hope you all had a good Halloween, by the way. I'm afraid I just couldn't manage to be with you on Halloween. But we are going to be doing more and more. So please connect with the website and keep checking on the website to see what we're up to. Anyway, thank you so much once again. We'll be back hopefully next Thursday. If I don't see you before, please, all of you, have a very, very blessed rest of the weekend. I know it's not quite the weekend, but have a very blessed weekend. Can we focus over the next few days or longer on being positive? Finding the positives in life is always a good thing to do. So once again, thank you, my darlings. God bless you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.